There's a level in Return of the King, the Southern Gate of Gondor, where I stopped trying to win. I wasn't thinking about objectives or what part of the movie this was supposed to match. I was just surrounded, fighting off dozens of enemies from every direction, parrying one swing only to get blindsided from behind, and for a minute, I wasn't even thinking, I was just reacting, fighting to survive. Then I hit the catapult mid-fight, watched it hurl a boulder into the wall, and before I could breathe, I was right back into the swarm. That's when I realized, this game isn't trying to tell you the story of Return of the King, it's trying to make you feel it. Return of the King on PS2 is a hack-and-slash action game with just enough RPG layering to keep you coming back for more. You can swap characters, level them up, replay missions with different playstyles, and even play co-op with a friend. The combat is super straightforward, but it's really fun. Every character has their own combo tree and unlockable abilities, but nothing's overly complex. You can just pick it up and start cutting through orcs, then go back in with another character and try a whole different route. There's even some bonus behind-the-scenes content you unlock as you play, stuff like cast interviews that made it feel like a full experience, not just a tie-in. When I played through this, I spent most of the time with Aragorn and Legolas, trying to keep that perfect meter full, with parries, combos, and the crowd control. Visually, it holds up better than you'd expect. The transitions from movie clips into gameplay are a little jarring now, but at the time, they felt immersive, and even now, the big moments still carry a lot of weight.
The way is shut. It was made by those who are dead, and the dead keep it. The way is shut.
Malice lies heavy in the air.
The game doesn't try to walk you through the full story of the movie. It just throws you into the middle of its biggest, loudest moments. These giant battles, end-of-the-world stakes, no council scenes, no long speeches, just war. From the very first level to the last. And the wild part is the game actually came out before the movie did, a full month early. If you played this in 2003, you saw how Return of the King ends before you ever sat in the theater. It technically spoiled the final stretch of the trilogy, and yet, nobody really cared. Because the game's power wasn't in what it told you, it was in what it made you feel. It didn't matter that you already knew the story, or didn't. EA understood that most people came for one thing, action. And they delivered that by stripping away everything else. There's no filler, no downtime, just a gauntlet of cinematic battles built for replayability and momentum. The story is still there, but it's compressed into pure adrenaline. You don't need to know where you are in the plot to understand what's happening. You just need to hold the line, block, parry, combo, and survive. That's what makes Return of the King different. It isn't trying to retell the story, it's trying to put you inside it. Not as a spectator, but as a soldier.
The ring wraiths come! Dark Riders, stand back!
The game is divided into three main paths. You've got the path of the wizard, where you play as Gandalf, the path of the king, which gives you a choice between Aragorn, Legolas, or Gimli, and the path of the hobbits, which mostly follows Sam until the end. Each of these paths drop you into key battles or survival moments tied loosely to the events of the film. But instead of unfolding like a normal story mode, they all run like different war diaries. You're not following characters through emotional arcs, you're dropping in wherever things are at their worst. The path of the wizard starts with Helm's Deep, and right away the game is showing you what it's about. You're not building up to the battle, you're already in it, surrounded by the walls, pulling off parries, quick kills, while ladders slam against the ramparts. It's tutorial level combat, but with full-blown stakes. From there it shifts to the road to Isengard, which is more objective driven. You're helping Treebeard blowing up a dam, protecting his path. It's still chaotic, but the tone is different. You're not just fighting, you're working within the destruction. Then it jumps to Minas Tirith, and it never slows down after that. Both top of the wall and courtyard missions at Minas Tirith are frantic siege defense levels. You're destroying siege ladders, managing choke points, and holding off waves of enemies while civilians evacuate. You can feel the pressure, the tension never lets up, and that's the point. You're not playing a traditional arc, you're trying to withstand a storm. Then there's the Path of the King. This is where the game hits its peak in scale. It opens with Paths of the Dead, a crawl through spectral ruins with a constant pressure of enemies through these tight catacombs. Then it drops you into the King of the Dead, which is basically a boss fight where the environment itself starts to collapse while you're still swinging. And then comes the Southern Gate, probably the moment my thesis fully locks in. You're fighting through a brutal wall of enemies, activating catapults mid-combat, and getting swarmed so often that survival feels like an achievement. There's almost no space to breathe. It keeps ramping up from there. Pelennor Fields is a full war zone. Cavalry charges, Moma Kill, the Witch King, the whole thing feels unmanageable, but in the best way. Then the final mission, the Black Gate, becomes a kind of pressure test. Every skill you've built is needed. Parry timing, crowd control, quick kills. It's all thrown at you while ring wraiths swoop in and the Mouth of Sauron opens the final stand. And again, it's not trying to retell the movie's ending. It just wants you to feel how overwhelming it would be to hold the line with nothing more than a few people and a sword.
Time to end this evil that marshals before us.
Fight on, Gimli!
We now give...
Then there's the Path of the Hobbits. This one's the most different. You start out as Sam and escape from Osgiliath, sprinting through collapsing buildings with Nazgul flying overhead. It's tighter, faster, and more desperate. The camera pulls in closer, the fights feel more personal. Then there's Shelob's Lair, which is just anxiety in level form. You're alone, trapped in a dark cave, fending off monsters, with limited space to move. It trades the spectacle of the Southern Gate for tension and discomfort. It's still action-heavy, but it's claustrophobic instead of wide open. And finally, the Crack of Doom shifts to Frodo. The last stretch isn't about defeating enemies, it's about reaching the end and holding on. Fighting Gollum in the heart of Mount Doom as lava erupts around you is simple on the surface, but it lands because the game earned it. You fought through everything else. This is the last pulse. What's smart about this structure is that no matter which path you pick, you're dropped directly into the moment where everything is falling apart. There's no ramp up, no downtime, just a new type of crisis. It's relentless, but never exhausting, because the game knows how to shift the tone, from massive siege battles to narrow escapes, from haunting ruins to torchlit caves. Every level has a different rhythm, but the same intensity. By splitting the campaign into these 3 threads, Return of the King also builds in replayability. You're not just changing characters, you're changing perspective. Every path feels like a different kind of war. And together they make one thing clear. This game was never about walking you through the story. It's about dropping you into the fire, again and again, and asking you to survive. If you're enjoying the video, and especially if this brought back some great memories, consider hitting that new hype button. It directly helps this video grow and reach more people who love games like this. And if you want more deep dives into classics, cult hits, and forgotten gems, feel free to like the video and consider subbing. I do this every week. What stands out the more you play through Return of the King isn't just the action, it's how carefully it's all arranged. Every path drops you into a different flavor of war. Gandalf's missions feel like leadership under pressure, holding the line, directing the fight, defending something bigger than yourself. Aragorn's path is pure momentum, one unstoppable push forward through ghosts, fire, and steel. And Sam's journey feels small but personal, quiet desperation instead of battlefield glory. The structure is doing something really smart here. It's not just giving you variety for the sake of it, it's showing you different sides of the same war, same world, same stakes. But depending on where you stand, the fight feels completely different. It also says something about the design. Most tie-ins struggle to recreate the pacing of a movie. They try to pad out every dialogue scene, mimic every cut, and by the time you actually get to do something, it's diluted. This game skips that entirely. It respects your time and your memory. It trusts that you already know what's happening in Middle-earth, or that you'll figure it out along the way. What matters is that every level feels like the part you'd never forget if you live through it. The moment the gate fell, the charge of a Moma Kill, the last swing in the fire. It's not trying to tell you what happened, it's trying to make you feel like you were there.
I will kill you if you touch him! Kill me, thou fool! No living man can slay me! I am no man! You look upon a woman!
I don't have an axe big enough for this one.
Behold! The dead have come to save the living!
So here's the question. Why does this game still hit as hard as it does? Why do we still talk about Return of the King like it's one of the few movie tie-ins that actually mattered? It's not just nostalgia, it's the way the game is built. At the core of everything is the combat. It's fast, fluid, and simple, but it doesn't feel basic. You've got light attacks, heavy swings, parries, ranged options, and character-specific combos that unlock as you level up, and all of it just clicks. Parrying at the right moment, turning it into a brutal finisher. Watching your perfect meter light up, there's a rhythm to it, a momentum. The game doesn't bog you down with systems or stat sheets. It just gives you a sword and asks if you can survive. And because the controls are responsive and tight, you can. That confidence, that sense that every button you press matters. It's what makes the chaos so fun. You're not just swinging wildly, you're holding your ground. The scale of the fights is one of the game's biggest strengths. Enemies pour in from every direction, huge set pieces unfold mid-level, walls break, ladders crash down, siege towers rumble into view. But it's not just spectacle for spectacle's sake. The developers at EA Redwood Shores planned this. Every level was storyboarded first, on paper, before they even touched code. Every battle was designed to feel like a moment you'd remember. They built the game like they were building scenes for a movie, not with dialogue, but with momentum. The 3 campaign paths aren't just for variety, they serve the emotional core of the experience. Gandalf's missions make you feel like a leader under pressure. Aragorn's path is all about power, forward momentum, and endurance. Sam and Frodo's levels are more about desperation, fighting alone, surviving the crawl. That split isn't just clever, it's immersive. By the time you've finished all 3, you've seen the war from every angle, not as one story, but as 3 kinds of struggle. And it's smart design. Replaying missions with different characters doesn't feel like padding, it feels like rediscovering the fight from a new angle. Add the combo meters, level ups, and co-op support, you've got a loop that stays fresh. And the game sounds incredible too. Howard Shore's score is in full force here. But it's more than just using the movie music. The sound design, the way blades crash, enemies scream, siege towers thunder into the field. It feels massive. Even critics back then were pointing it out. The sound hits harder than the visuals. And when you're in the middle of 40 enemies trying to block 3 directions at once, that sound matters. More than anything on screen. It tells you where the danger is. It keeps you locked in. You don't just see the fight, you hear it coming. Maybe the smartest thing this game does is assume you already get it. There's no recap, no long cutscenes explaining who's who or why we're fighting. The game doesn't slow down to explain Gondor's politics or Frodo's burden. It drops you straight into the storm and lets the action be the story. And that works, because when you're surrounded at the southern gates or pushing through Minas Tirith with orcs swarming every wall, you don't need exposition. You already feel the stakes. You already know what you're fighting for. So many tie-in games go for accuracy. They follow the script, cram in every scene, try to feel like an interactive movie. Return of the King didn't do that. It boiled the story down to its most essential parts, the moments that hit, and then built an entire experience around feeling those moments from the inside. The result is a game that doesn't just succeed as a Lord of the Rings title, it succeeds as a game, period. It's still fun, still brutal, and still worth playing. And that's not just nostalgia talking, that's design that understood what players wanted. To really appreciate what Return of the King pulled off, you have to look at what movie tie-ins were doing at the time, and it wasn't this. A lot of licensed games in the early 2000s were obsessed with fidelity. They wanted to show every scene, every line of dialogue, every location, even if it didn't make for good gameplay. The result? Games that felt like chopped up versions of the movie. 10 minutes of cutscenes, 2 minutes a week gameplay, then back to another cutscene. You weren't playing the story, you were stuck watching a slower version of it. Return of the King didn't go down that path. It stripped away everything that would have slowed the pacing and focused on the feeling instead. It gave you control, not just context. Plenty of tie-ins also failed at the most basic level. The moment-to-moment gameplay just wasn't fun. Whether it was floaty controls, bad hit detection, or stiff animations. Most of these games looked like their source material, but didn't feel good to play. Return of the King went the other direction. It focused on combat first, it built a rhythm, it made the act of swinging a sword or firing an arrow satisfying. It didn't need every character to look perfect, it needed them to feel right, and that choice made all the difference. And like I mentioned in the beginning, Return of the King actually spoiled the ending of the movie, a month before the film even hit theaters. Most studios would never do that. They'd hold back, keep things vague, maybe cut the game short so it doesn't reveal too much. This game didn't care. It showed the final battles, it let you fight the Mouth of Sauron. It took you all the way to Mount Doom, because again, it wasn't about preserving the story, it was about experiencing the biggest parts of it firsthand. That boldness paid off. Instead of feeling like an appetizer for the movie, the game stood on its own. Where most tie-ins were built for fans of the film, Return of the King was built for players. It respected your time, it gives you a challenge, it gives you a reason to replay. You can co-op, you can level up, you can take different characters through missions and unlock extras along the way. It's not just content, it's progression, and that's what made it stick. Where other tie-ins padded their stories, this game cuts to the core. Where others slowed you down, this one picks up the pace. Where others were forgotten, this one's been remembered. Because Return of the King didn't try to be a movie, it tried to be a war. And that made all the difference.
We must get out!
There's a moment in the Southern Gate level where I stopped thinking about the objective. I wasn't pushing toward the catapult, I wasn't chasing the meter. I was just trying to survive. Enemies were coming from every direction. I was parrying, swinging, getting hit, recovering, backing into a wall, then swinging again. And for a few minutes, I wasn't playing a game, I was in it. That's what Return of the King does better than almost any tie-in of its time. It doesn't guide you through a story, it doesn't stop to explain itself, it just opens the gates and asks if you're ready to fight. Every level is designed to make you feel the scale, the chaos, the desperation. Not by copying the movie, but by compressing everything down into pure motion. You don't watch the war, you become part of it. And somehow 20 years later it still holds up. Not because of the graphics or because of the license, but because it understood one thing. That games don't have to retell the story to bring it to life. Sometimes all they need to do is let you swing a sword. If this video brought back memories or showed you something you missed the first time around, consider hitting that hype button. It helps this video get seen and lets YouTube know there's still love for games like this. And if you want more dives like this, from forgotten gems to cult classics, to games that deserve a second life, feel free to like and consider subbing. We're preserving the stories that mattered, one game at a time. But as always, I'll see y'all later.
For ourselves, there is no hope. This is our final act to give Frodo time. Time to end this evil that marshals before us.